Bringing you the news from around the globe and here in Sri Lanka. This is the news at 9. We're coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. A very good evening. I'm Joel Outscourt.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Before we head into the news in detail, here's a look at the headlines for tonight.
3 ministers of the new government sworn in. Legendary Kumar Sangakkara bids farewell to all forms of cricket.
බ්‍රිතාන්‍යයේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ කොමසාරිස්වරයා වශයෙන් පත්වීම බාර ගන්නයි කියලා හිතා.
එතුමත් එක්ක මම හිතන්නේ මේ දේ තවදුරටත් සාකච්ඡා කරන්න ඕනේ.
4 army personnel arrested in connection with journalist Pragith Eknaligoda's disappearance. Former Deputy Minister Sarana Gunawardena further remanded. Gotabaya Rajapaksa summoned before the Presidential Commission to investigate and inquire into serious acts of fraud and corruption.
3 new cabinet ministers of the new government took oath before President Maithripala Sirisena at the Presidential Secretariat today.
Mangala Samaraweera took oath as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Dr. Vijayadasa was sworn in as the Minister of Justice, while D.M. Swaminathan was sworn in as the Minister of Rehabilitations and Resettlement. Meanwhile, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who is in Sri Lanka on a private visit, met with President Maithripala earlier this evening. According to the presidential media unit, the former British Prime Minister praised the election process, which concluded in a peaceful, free and fair manner. Tony Blair also had assured the President that he stand before the country to clear the misconceptions of Sri Lanka among the international community.
The footage that you just witnessed were of President Maithripala Sirisena attending the farewell ceremony of Sangakkara. Moving on, former Deputy Minister Sarana Gunawardena was remanded on charges of assault today.
Police media spokesperson ASP Ruwan Gunasekara said that 4 suspects, including the former Deputy Minister, were arrested over an incident on the 14th of this month where an individual was assaulted in Gampaha. Subsequent to being produced before court, the suspects were ordered to be remanded until the 26th of this month.
The Criminal Investigations Department arrested 4 army officers today in connection to the disappearance of journalist Pragith Eknaligoda.
Pragith Eknaligoda worked as a journalist. He went missing on the 24th of February 2010. Since then, there has been no trace of him. The police media unit said that among the 4 suspects who were arrested by the CID today are 2 lieutenant colonels, 1 staff sergeant and a corporal. The 4 army officers were taken into custody after hours of questioning.
And on to your developing story for tonight. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe called on the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, today.
The Prime Minister visited the Archbishop of Colombo at the Bishop's house in Colombo today. I met with His Eminence the Cardinal and the Bishops. They gave me their blessings. I said that I'm looking forward to their support as we create a new country and a new system to promote religious coexistence, to resolve the national problem, establish national identity and peace. I informed them that President Maithripala Sirisena and I are especially looking forward to the support of religious leaders and the interfaith conference for this purpose.
On to one of the stories that made it to the headlines this evening. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa was questioned for nearly 6 hours by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into serious acts of fraud, corruption and abuse of power, state resources and privileges.
The former Defence Secretary arrived at the commission located at the BMICH premises this morning. He was questioned over the investigations into the Rakna Lanka company.
අයියෝ මම කරදර කරන්න එපා. මොකද්ද? මේ රක්නා ආරක්ෂක ලංකා රක්නා ලංකා ආරක්ෂක සමාගම ගැන විස්තර දැනගන්න. නෑ. මෙතන කතා කරේ නෑ කියන්නේ.
රක්නා ලංකා සේවකීන් ජනාධිපති වර්ණය සඳහා
This was with regard to the use of 500 employees attached to the Rakna Lanka company and the spending of around 6 million rupees for the presidential election. Moreover, 150 members of the Civil Security Department were used as part of these 500 employees of the Rakna Lanka company. The issue here is that there are charges that the Civil Security forces were made to wear another uniform instead of their own, which is illegal by law. There was also another complaint that firearms were given on rent.
Making a special statement this evening, Venerable Madhulavavi Sobithathera, the convener of the National Movement for a Just Society, highlighted the facts that should be focused on by a national government that will be formed in the future.
ජනතාව විසින් ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කළ පරාජිත අපේක්ෂකයන් යලිත්
The National Movement for a Just Society vehemently condemns the decision to appoint to Parliament defeated candidates who have been rejected by the people. We are even more displeased with the proposal to give ministerial portfolios to defeated candidates. If we are to pursue the goal of forming a national government, we could include 45 ministers. Do not appoint a large number of ministers as in the past. We condemn that system. It is true that they joined hands in forming a national government, but do not use this as an escape mechanism to evade investigation by the Commission to investigate bribery or corruption.
වංචා පිළිබඳව කරන සමීක්ෂණවලට එම්බේරියාම සඳහා මේක ඉනිමකක් කරගන්න එපා.
Civil society groups are opposing the granting of ministerial portfolios to defeated candidates. Convening a media briefing today, the citizens' organizations and trade unions collective drew attention to the issue.
නීත්‍යානුකූලව පරාද වෙච්ච අය පත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි සදාචාරාත්මක ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා.
The ones who were defeated can be appointed legally, but then a question arises in terms of ethics. We will not accept it as a policy. We maintain that it is better if it was not pursued. Granting ministerial portfolios to those who committed acts against society and those who were involved in fraud and corruption is not something that can be accepted. We signed an agreement with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Therefore, we highlight the fact that this should be implemented as a mark of respect to that convention. If they choose to disregard the convention and if this leads to conflict, then we will stand with the people.
Convening a media briefing today, representatives of several parties affiliated to the UPFA expressed the following views.
There were Mahinda and Maitri factions within the alliance, and this division is still very evident. The balance of power is more in favour of the Maitri faction. MPs who are keen on working against the UMP are under constant threat of being removed from the party or their positions within the party being stripped on charges of violating the party's code of conduct. We as the opposition are working towards tabling the Audit Act and the Right to Information Act, which are things the people of this country asked for. We remembered before the elections how people like Dilan Pereira were going around speaking about the bond scam and even brought bottles of poison. But today, how can he be in the cabinet along with those rogues he spoke of? The national list has been made into a list of orphans, similar to the Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage. If the entire Sri Lanka Freedom Party is taken to the government by depicting order and discipline, there will be only 10 MPs from the other parties left. Then the position of opposition leader will be handed to the TNA. They will receive global acceptance. They are leaving aside affiliated parties and working. But do not forget, though there is rice in your plate, no one would want to eat it if there are no vegetables to go with it. There's a rumor being spread that the UPFA is about to be dissolved. No such thing will happen, neither can it be done for the next 5 years. So what are they doing now? Instead of dissolving the UPFA, they are just not convening the party.
සන්දානය විසිරුවා හැරීමක් වෙනුවට අකර්මණ්‍ය කිරීමක් කරන්නේ. ඉදිරියට කැඳවන්නේ නැහැ.
වශයෙන් කටයුතු කළේ සුසිල් දෙවියන් මහත්මයාත් එක්ක ඔබතුමාලා එකතු වෙලා තමයි මේ පසුගිය මැතිවරණ ක්‍රියාත්මක කළේ. හැබැයි මේ වෙනකොට එතුමා තමගේ සාකච්ඡාවක් නැද්ද?
එතුමා දැන් ඇමතිකමක් ගන්න යනවා කියලා මම දන්නේ ආරංචියක් තියෙනවා.
ඒක ඔබතුමාලා එකට හිටපු පාර්ශ්වයේ විරසක වෙලා.
නෑ මෛත්‍රීපාල ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ විධායක බලයේ අනුහසට කොඳු දුර්වල අය ගිහින් අවනත වෙනවා. ඒක කොඳු වල ප්‍රශ්නයක්. අපේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙවෙයි.
يعني සුසිල් දෙවියන්ට ඔබතුමාලාත් එක්ක ඉන්න ගමන් ඩබල් ගේමක් ගහලා දෙන්න කියලා.
ඒක ඩබල්ද ට්‍රිපල්ද කියලා එතුමා තමයි දන්නේ.
A media briefing was convened by the Women's Organization for Good Governance today. Speaking at the event, prominent women activists expressed the following views.
A person like Rosie can strengthen democracy and take forward good governance in this era. We view her absence in the Constitutional Council as a loss. We were hoping that she would be given an opportunity through the national list. We asked Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to bring her in through the national list. At the same time, Rosie Senanayake has informed us that she is seeking a recount.
At this election, it was very clear to us that the numbers of women elected decreased, obviously, from 13 to 11, but that we could not get an increase in women's representation in parliament because of the electoral system that is in place in this country, because of the culture of preference voting. We want to ask the UNF Alliance, and particularly the United National Party, that they consider bringing Mrs. Senanayake back into parliament through a nationalist appointment.
Still in local news, addressing a media briefing in Kurunegala today, former parliamentarian Shantha Bandara talked about the infighting within the UPFA and its consequent fallout within the party.
Never in history have I heard nor seen an election where a political party has backstabbed one of its own for an election. Honestly speaking, I did not lose. I was made to lose. Apart from the chairman of the SLFP, every other leader in the party urged the people not to vote for Shantha Bandara. But Shantha Bandara will stand by Maithripala Sirisena. The minds of the people were changed. This was shown live. The people had the opportunity to elect 10 candidates to parliament from our district in the previous election, but this time this number reduced to 8. That's because there were internal issues. So I urge the president to cleanse the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today, leader of the People's Servants Party, Somawan Samarasinghe, says that this general election marked the end of leftist parties in the country.
Black money is used heavily during elections. On the one hand, while violence is reducing, on the other hand, it has also increased. A single party has not won the election. The leftist parties, including the JVP, were defeated. This is a major loss. The Sri Lanka Communist Party, the Sama Samaja Party or the Nava Sama Samaja Party will never be able to enter parliament again as single parties. It was the JVP who suffered the worst defeat at this election. Then there is the cost they had to pay. Usually you have to sell 2 or 3 vehicles to run a campaign. Some have to wait until the vehicles of those who won are out on sale in order to purchase them. So a question arises as to how such a party bear these costs. Now they are having this national government, not because they can, but because they can't. We approve of what President Maithripala Sirisena has done thus far. That is good. But the question lies as to what will happen after 2 years.
Lanka Tamil Arasa Katchi submitted the names of its 2 nominees for the national list to the Elections Commissioner today. K. Thureiratna Singham, who contested the general elections from the Trincomalee district and lost, and Shanti Sri Skandaraja, who also lost after contesting from the Vanni district, have been nominated by the ITAC to enter parliament through the national list. Shanti Skandaraja, who entered politics after retiring from the state service, obtained 18,080 preferential votes. Skandaraja, who was disabled in the civil conflict, worked for the welfare of the public, and Thureiratna Singham, who represented Parliament from 2001 to 2004, was defeated in this election.
In more local news this evening, the Colombo District Court ordered today that submissions be made on the 28th of this month with regard to the petition seeking the withdrawal of the injunction order preventing Susil Premajantha from functioning as General Secretary of the UPFA. In the order issued to Susil Premajantha on a prior occasion, the District Court informed him not to obstruct the current General Secretary of the UPFA, Professor Vishwavarnapala, from executing his duties. In his petition, Premajantha notes that such an order, coming days before the general election, was in violation of the election law and the Constitution and also threatened his voting rights. Meanwhile, 4 suspects in the drive-by shooting which caused the deaths of 2 people and injured 9 during election campaigning in Blue Mandal have been remanded until the 7th of September. The case was taken up before Colombo Additional Magistrate Nishant Piris today. The suspects were taken into custody by the Criminal Investigations Department recently and have been held under detention orders thus far. The CID informed court today that the 4 suspects had aided the shooters by renting them the vehicle that was used in the shooting.
Still to come on the news tonight, Palmyra's Bolshamin temple blown up by IS. Welcome back to the news. Another phase of the Samadhi Kakulu Suaseta program, an initiative of Buddhika Patirana, who was elected from the Mathura district from the UNP, was held in Tihagoda, Mathura today.
Under the program, high nutrition packs were distributed to underweight children residing in the Tihagoda area.
In this election, those who came first in their districts were those who held a ministerial or deputy ministerial portfolio under the 106-day government of good governance, or those who held high positions within the party. However, it is because of the faith that people of the Mathura district have that a person who held no such position except that of a parliamentarian was placed first in this district. In business news tonight, the price of crude oil has taken a nosedive in the world market. Reuters news agency says that the crude oil tumbled to its weakest levels in 6.5 years.
Crude oil took a downward trend with the market price pegged between $40 and $45 a barrel. The price of crude oil in the global market was between $60 to $65 a barrel 2 months ago. Reuters news agency reported that the price of a barrel of Brent crude dropped to $44.37 in the market today. US light crude was down $1.93 or 4.8% at $38.52 a barrel after falling as low as $37.75, down 6.7% on the previous close and its weakest since February 2009. US crude is now more than 17% below its opening price at the start of the month, and Brent is down more than 60%. Analysts say markets are worried about a Chinese-led global economic slowdown that would drastically hit oil consumption at a time of plentiful supply. Algeria said earlier this month that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries could hold an emergency meeting to discuss the drop in oil prices, but other OPEC delegates said no meeting was planned. OPEC is not due to meet until the 4th of December. While OPEC rules say a simple majority of the 12 OPEC members is needed to call an emergency meeting before then, some OPEC delegates say a meeting is unlikely unless Saudi Arabia is in favor. Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, and other Gulf states pushed OPEC's strategy shift last year to defend market share rather than cut output to support prices.
In January, the government reduced fuel prices as much as possible and provided relief to the people. The government's policy thereafter has been to introduce a price formula. When this price formula is introduced, the people can reap the benefits of downward fluctuations in world oil prices. The price formula has been prepared and it has been submitted to Cabinet. The Cabinet has held discussions with the Treasury and has sought recommendations from the Treasury on implementation. I believe we will be able to implement it in the very near future.
The renovation of the Irnabadu Reservoir commenced today with the assistance of the Asian Development Bank. The inauguration event was held under the auspices of the Northern Province Agriculture Minister P. Aingaranesan.
The Irnabadu Reservoir, which irrigates the Mullaitivu, Kilinochchi and Jaffna districts, is itself nourished by the Kanagarayan Oya, which is located in the Mullaitivu district. 36,000 acres of paddy fields are provided water through this. The construction of the Irnabadu tank, which began in 1903, concluded in 1920. The tank was renovated in 1954 under the direction of then Minister of Agriculture Dudley Senanayake and the Minister of Land and Land Development P.B. Bulankole Medisave. Although the Iranamadu reservoir was intended to solve the water crisis in the Jaffna Peninsula, years of protest have prevented this objective from being realized.
On a lighter note, John Keells Holdings organized its annual John Keells English Day today to allow students to showcase their skills with English language.
Over 11,000 people have benefited through these and other programs implemented through Gateway Language Centers.
Through their foundation, which they formed in 2005, where they work towards empowering the nation for tomorrow, obviously through the young generation. We all have to remember in our lives, there are times where we have to reinvent, realign and reposition. And it is that opportunity that you have received through the John Keells English Language Scholarship Program. Gateway Language Center is delighted to be working with this organization who is so committed towards the well-being of every single student in all parts of the country, irrespective of race and religion.
A very emotional farewell indeed. Kumar Sangakkara, a cricketer and a gentleman loved by teammates and opponents alike, bids farewell to a glittering 15-year career today.
That's right. Sports First takes a look back at Sanga's rise to the position of a national icon.
Born in 1977 to Kumari Surangana and Swarna Kumara Sangakkara, Kumara Chokshanada Sangakkara is the youngest in a family of 4 siblings. A product of Trinity College, Kandy, Sanga sacrificed a career as a lawyer in order to play cricket.
He was not only good in cricket, he was good in other games too. He was a senior prefect. He was a shining example to all his contemporaries in school.
His name is going to always be looked upon as the benchmark for young Sri Lanka cricketers from now on. His loyalty to his country, to his club, to his school, to his family.
Kumar has been a phenomenal performer for Sri Lanka, not only on the field but off the field as well. To have made 11 double hundreds is simply mind-boggling. And I wish he would get another double hundred to conclude his career for Sri Lanka. I wish him very, very well for his future.
When I announced my retirement, that's the time Kumar got into the side. I knew that he had a vision, he was very committed, and I always felt that he will do really well as a batsman.